too big for their town, just right for his arms. Before we begin, comment your country so I know where the story is reaching. Mara Dawson had always been the woman the town whispered about, not because she'd done anything wrong, but because she didn't fit the narrow mold they liked. Taller than most men, strong from years of ranch work, with a presence that filled any doorway. Folks in Ridge Hollow never knew what to do with a woman like that, so they pushed her aside until silence felt normal. On the morning everything changed, she stood by the dusty corral, wearing the only outfit she owned that made her feel like herself, an off-shoulder frontier top that left her collarbones bare and her upper chest and toned belly catching the pale sunrise. Tight, shaped seams hugged her frame, the kind of clothing no one in town approved of, but she wore anyway because she refused to shrink. That was the day her uncle told her she'd be relocated, a polite word for something far uglier. He needed money. She was the only thing he could give up without feeling the weight of it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just nodded, steady and unbroken. By noon, she was standing on the trading platform outside the general store, the townsfolk circling like they were picking through supplies instead of a human life. She kept her chin high, sunlight warming her bare shoulders, dust blowing around her boots. Every whisper cut, but she didn't flinch. Then a man stepped through the crowd. Not loud, not proud, just present. Elias ran, a quiet rancher known for keeping to himself. Broad-shouldered, sun-toughened, calm in a way that made people lower their voices without being told. He looked at Mara like she wasn't a problem to solve, but a person to meet. He didn't study her like the others. He didn't measure her. He simply said, "She's not too big. She's built for a life that asks more of a person." Mara felt something tighten in her chest, something she kept buried for years. Hope. Elias wasn't trying to rescue her. He wasn't trying to own her. He was offering a place where she wouldn't have to apologize for existing. When he paid her uncle and walked her away from that circle of stairs, Mara expected guilt or shame to catch up to her. Instead, she felt the first breath of freedom she'd tasted since childhood. And for the first time, Ridge Hollow looked small behind her. Elias didn't take Mara straight to his ranch. He walked with her along the creek road first, where the cottonwood swayed and the world felt wider than Ridge Hollow ever allowed. She expected awkward silence, maybe forced kindness. Instead, he let her set the pace, steady and unhurried. "You don't owe me conversation," he finally said. Mara nodded. "I just don't know what to say yet." "Then don't," he replied. Silence isn't something to fix. No man had ever offered her that. Space, respect, the freedom to breathe. By late afternoon, the sky was burning orange, and Elias brought her to the ranch gate, a tall wooden arch with a rusted iron brand welded across the top. The place wasn't big, but it was alive. Horses grazing, fresh fence posts, a cabin with smoke curling from a chimney. Real work, real purpose. Inside the cabin, he showed her the spare room, a real bed, clean blankets, a small dresser. She stood in the doorway, unable to step in, not because she feared him, but because she'd never been given something without being expected to shrink in return. "You'll help with chores if you want," he said, "but not because you owe me, because the ranch runs better when two people share the load." She studied him, her off-shoulder frontier top still dusty from the road, her collarbones catching the fireplace glow. Most men had tried to make her smaller. Elias didn't flinch at her size or her strength. He looked like a man who trusted what he saw. That evening, they sat outside on the porch steps. The sky faded from gold to rose to deep blue. Crickets started up, and the earth cooled under their boots. "Why did you step forward today?" she asked. He thought for a long moment. "Because some folks mistake loudness for being right. I saw a woman being pushed down for the wrong reasons. And I've lived long enough to know that people like you don't break, you build." His words stunned her more than any insult she'd ever endured. Praise could be dangerous. Expectations could crush. But Elias spoke like a man describing weather, not fantasies. A soft wind drifted across her bare shoulders. For the first time since childhood, she felt her body unclench. Just when she thought the night had settled, Elias added, "Tomorrow, I'll take you to the north pasture. It needs rebuilding. If you're willing, we'll work out a plan. Not an order, an invitation." And that invitation did something she hadn't expected. It made her want to stay, not because she owed him her life, but because she saw the possibility of making a new one. "Then tomorrow," she said quietly, a new horizon began forming right there on that porch. "If you're still here, make sure to like and subscribe." Mara woke before sunrise the next morning, nerves tight but steady. The ranch was quiet, the air cool against her bare shoulders as she stepped outside. She still wore the same off-shoulder frontier top, structured, fitted, showing the strength she'd never again hide. A soft dawn glow brushed her collarbones and mid-chest as she crossed the yard. Elias was already saddling 2 horses. "You sure you want to start today?" he asked. "I came here to work," she said, "not to disappear." That answer made him smile, not wide, just real. The north pasture was half a mile out, where the old fence leaned like it had given up years before. Elias explained what needed rebuilding. Mara listened, not as a servant or a burden, but as someone with a say. She picked up a post with ease, and he didn't look surprised. He nodded like he'd expected nothing less. For hours, they worked in slow rhythm, sun climbing, hammering echoing across the open land. Sweat on her shoulders, dust on his shirt. No complaints, no measuring her worth, just shared effort, and 2 people finally fitting into a world that had once felt too small for both of them. Around noon, Mara paused, leaning on the fence rail. "You ever think people can start over?" she asked. "Or is that something folks just say to feel better?" Elias rested beside her. "Starting over isn't the hard part," he said. "Believing you deserve to is..." His words hit deeper than he knew. She wasn't some problem he rescued. She wasn't a body he bought. She was a partner in building something new. And the ranch, this quiet corner of the frontier, was slowly becoming the first place that didn't try to shrink her. By late afternoon, the new fence stood solid and straight. Mara's hands were raw, her body tired, but in the best way. Elias watched her with quiet pride. "You did more in a day than most do in a week," he said. "I had something worth working for," she replied. As they walked back toward the cabin, the horizon spread wide and open. No judgment, no whispers, no circle of eyes waiting to decide her fate. Just land, just sky, just possibility. At the porch steps, Elias stopped. "Mara, if you choose to stay here, it's because you want to, not because you were taken from somewhere else." She met his eyes, calm and steady. "Elias, I didn't lose anything back there. Today proved it." And with that simple truth, her old life finally fell away. The ranch wasn't just shelter. It wasn't repayment. It was a beginning, a place where her size wasn't mocked, where her strength wasn't questioned, where her heart wasn't dismissed, a place where she was finally just right